biggest freaking oil catcher I can even find in town. This isn't even really like an oil pan. It's the one you pour the stuff from the oil pan into. And I couldn't even find a normal oil pan. I'm just gonna use the bucket. See how long this even takes. Anyways, what's up guys? It's Colin here at Top North Outdoors. We're here doing another oil change on the dent side, the 460. I'm gonna be putting some 20W50 in there. You know, I know I changed oil like 100 miles ago. I changed it when I first got the truck. I talked about that in the last video. But I just take care. I really like to take care of my vehicles. I'm not like other people who abuse them and wait too long to do oil changes. I am changing the oil in this truck every 100 miles just to keep it nice. It's this big thing, this big tub, and it's got like two tiny little pinholes that drains the oil into the bottom. Okay. Hello. Focus on my face. There. Alright, so we are actually doing an oil change with some 20W50, and it has only been like 50 miles, or probably like 100, 120 miles since the last oil change that I did. The reason I am doing another oil change with this really heavyweight oil is oil pressure issues. So running, when the truck fires up, the oil pressure is good. When it dries for a bit, it's good. But then after it gets really hot, it runs at like almost zero pressure, if not zero pressure at like a hot idle. And then when it's at hot idle, when I drive, the oil pressure goes back up to normal as RPMs go up. But at idle, after it's hot, it runs basically no oil pressure. And I was panicking. And I did a bunch of research on it. And apparently it's a pretty common thing with these older 460s or older motors in general, is like they'll get a bit worn out and they'll run really low oil pressures at hot idle. And a big fix, what most people recommended, was to run a heavier oil. And what most people recommended was to run 20W50 actually. Apparently this oil, it's actually kind of hard to find, like they had to go in the back and get it, but apparently 20W50 was actually basically invented for older motors that are a little worn out to basically help those oil pressure issues. So right now it's got 10W30 in it, which again, when it runs it's fine. It's just when it idles after it's been warm, it doesn't really have much pressure. So we are going to swap this with some 20W50 and see how that goes. Now, I am sure none of you guys clicked on this video to watch me do an oil change. You are here for the drama. And you're probably also wondering what the frick this thing is for. I will show you what that thing is for in a second. Figure out what the right socket is for this. It's the reason that I have like 10 pounds of floor dry and the floor down here from my last oil change. But yeah, I just decided that for this Facebook drama video, I do an oil change while I talk about it. So you guys don't just have to look at me just sitting there, and well, then I can actually get some stuff done. What this pool noodle is actually for is to drain the oil out. Because for some weird reason, well, it's probably not a weird reason, it's because this motor was originally for this truck. The frickin' drain bolt is off to the side instead of on the bottom of the pumpkin. And when you drain the oil, you can't get an oil pan under it, and basically all the oil just shoots out. All the oil just shoots out onto the pumpkin and sprays you and the entire floor and everything beside the drain pan. So I bought this tube to kind of hook up, set it where, in theory, the oil comes out. So when it first sprays, catch it and it'll go down that tube. And then I can kind of funnel it to the drain pan, is kind of my thought. Because it just launches out so hard into that pumpkin, there's like no possible way to really like catch it. But I forgot how tight it is down here. I don't know if I'm able to fit this tube in the position that I need to be. And my other issue is that, well, Frick. Probably we better have 2 people. Because how am I going to hold this tube here right when I take the drain plug off, you know? Good thing I left that old floor dry down there for the spillage, but we're getting most of it into here. Oh. And once it calms down, I can slide the drain pan under here because it'll just go down. This oil definitely isn't as hot as it was before. Wow. Yeah, the oil's still like almost clear. It's not even black yet or dark brown. This is actually working fairly well. Oh. Open my fat mouth too quick. Shoot. Oh, we're draining in. Okay. That might have looked messy, but that was a lot better than the first time. We got the majority of it in the pan. Alright, while I let the rest of that oil drain out, excuse the mess in my shop, we kind of use it as storage in the winter time, and we're in the process of getting the stuff out and turning it into a shop again. And we're talking out here because I bought some stupid lights and I thought they were gonna light it up, but they didn't. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, let's dive into this Facebook drama a bit of buying this truck. Selling the 7.3 was an ordeal on Facebook. And that was on the selling aspect. That is really, really freaking annoying to do on Facebook, but also it sucks buying things on Facebook too. It goes both ways. Selling on Facebook and buying on Facebook, it both sucks. It sucks so bad. So I guess I'll just kind of tell you guys the whole story of getting this truck. Maybe I'm just being a complainer and I have no reason to think I was wronged or anything, but you guys can be the judge, I guess. I'll just tell you the facts. So I've been searching for a dent side. Well, I made that video looking for a dent side, but even before then, I mean, the last year I've been scouring Facebook. I've always wanted a highboy, so I'm always keeping my eye out. And then like this last month and a half, 2 months, I've been really looking hard, like looking in every other, moving the little 100-mile radius all around the whole United States on Facebook, like trying to find a good deal, because I know I can buy a clean dent side, a really nice one for 30 grand, but I don't have that kind of money to buy a dent side to put into a truck like that. So I was looking for something that I can pay with for cash, that's more in my budget, which is hard to find one that's in good shape, that's not rusted out, doesn't have major issues, for a decent price, because the price on these things have skyrocketed. So I finally found this truck and it looked like a good deal. It looked to be in pretty good shape, and it happened to be in Montana, which was actually the route Murray and I are going to be driving through Montana to go to Oregon anyway. So I was like, oh, awesome. We can go look at this truck on our way to Oregon. I wasn't able to take a truck, unfortunately, but we took our Jetta, and I looked at it on the way to Oregon, and my plan is like, okay, if we buy this truck, I'll just ask him if I can keep it here, and I'll just drive it back on our way home, because yeah, it'll be a little sketchy driving it back, but it'll be like fun for videos and stuff. Maybe we can take some trails in the mountains. That was kind of what I was thinking in my head, was kind of a rough plan. And if something broke down, worst case, we could rent a U-Haul truck or something and tow it home. We were kind of just planning for all that. That was kind of going to be the rough plan. So we drove all the way out there, obviously, and I mean, it was a few hours out of our way to go up, and because they were kind of really far. They were in northwestern Montana, and the main route through Montana goes through Billings, which is more on the southern side, and they were more like mid to northern western Montana, so they were kind of out of the way already off the main road. So we went and looked at the truck, and the truck wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. Obviously, it's in really good shape, but the owner was this kid that's in college. I mean, I call him a kid. That's a Hornet. I call him a kid, but he was probably like Murray and I's age, and going to college, maybe a year younger than us or something. I'm 22, but he was the one that had the truck, and it was parked outside, and he didn't really seem like, he said he went to college in Florida, and this was his daily driver back home, and he said he didn't need it anymore because he's always in Florida, which it was on like a ranch or whatever, but he really didn't seem like he knew much about trucks at all. So that was kind of a little bit of red flag already, is when you're buying from somebody and they say it's in good condition, all this stuff, and they don't know, they're not knowledgeable about it at all. At least they act like they're not knowledgeable. So I looked through the truck. I actually brought a magnet. I ran a magnet along the whole truck checking for Bondo, because a lot of these are notorious for, you know, you'll have a whole bedside that's Bondo or whatever. So I checked the whole truck with a magnet for Bondo. There was maybe one tiny little spot in the fender that didn't really want to stick very well, but everywhere else it stuck solid. So I know the body was in good shape. But there was, he said it was 0 rust. He said no rust on the truck on Facebook, and normally it wouldn't be a big deal, but he knew I was driving 12 hours. So it's like when you're driving 12 hours to buy a vehicle, it's kind of frustrating when people aren't completely honest about everything when you're going that far. Like, yes, it was on our way of our trip, but we still went out of our way, and I probably would have went, even if we weren't going on a trip, I would have went and looked at this truck anyway. So it's like when you know someone's coming, you know, over a day's worth of a trip to look at your truck, like, I don't know. At least me, like, I'd be honest about everything, you know, because I don't want to waste people's time. And it just, you know, it sucks. But anyway, there was one tiny little rust spot about this big on the corner of the door, which I can show you guys. And then there's one little spot on the box. There's probably like a dime size bubble that's popping up. And then in the back left of the box here, there's a spot that was sprayed, and there was kind of like a slit in it where there was some rust, and you can tell it had been Bondoed or like repaired there, and there was like a rust problem kind of right in that little spot. So that kind of rubbed me raw a little bit. You know, I was still nice and respectful, but that just in my head, like, that just kind of frustrated me, because it's like he told me he was 100% rust free, and he wasn't really 100% honest about those spots. So that bugged me a bit. And then he told me that the truck ran great, had no issues, and that he'd been daily driving it. Well, I crawled up under and looked under the truck, and there's oil. There was a lot of built up oil from, you could tell, like a consistent leak. It's been leaking for a while. And there was a lot of oil built up on the spring and on the chassis and on that one side of the axle where there's a bit of an oil leak. So I was like, hey, there's oil like all over down here. And he's like, what? I didn't know that. And being that it's his daily driver, it's kind of weird that he didn't know that it had that made, you know, it's built. Maybe it's not a major leak, I found out, but it looked like it was because there was so much built up oil over time of it building up there, and it's just kind of weird that he didn't know about that. So that was a little like, come on, that's obvious. Like, you crawl and you just look at the truck and you see that. So yeah, it had that oil problem. So then I was like, hey, well, then I wanted to take the truck for a test drive, and I was like, but hey, before I take the truck for a test drive, let's check the oil, because if I'm buying this truck, you know, I don't want to be running it with no oil or low oil or whatever, because it looked like it was a pretty major leak with how much oil was there. So then he told me, oh, well, actually the hood doesn't pop. I can't get the hood to pop or latch now. Some guy, it worked fine. Some guy looked at it earlier today, and then the hood didn't want to pop after that, the latch, which at the time I was like, okay, I mean, I've had trouble with hood latches before, but when I got it home, I mean, it was dry as a bone, and it wouldn't pop. But I sprayed it with some WD-40 and just lubed the whole thing up, and now it pops fine. So it's like, if you're daily driving the truck and checking on the oil like he said he did and everything else, like, you think he would have lubed it up, or like it was, but you know, I don't know, a little weird, but not one of the main points. But anyway, then I was like, okay, well, I need to see the motor if I'm gonna buy this truck, or, you know, interested in this truck. I need to see the motor, and I need to check the oil before I drive it. So he was kind of like, it almost seemed like he didn't really want to pop. I don't know, it was weird. But we ended up getting a screwdriver and some tools and stuff. I think I pulled some of them out of my car and gave them to him, and he ended up getting the hood popped. I told him, I was like, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to damage anything on the truck, you know, and it's not mine. So he finally got the hood popped. I helped him a little bit. And then we checked the oil, and there was no oil in the dipstick. No oil in the dipstick at all. And I was like, dude, there's no oil on this. And he was like, what? I check it every day before I drive it, which I know now has got to be absolute bullcrap, because I've did an oil change on this truck, and I've driven it, you know, over 100 miles. Probably, honestly, maybe driven it a couple hundred miles since I've gotten it, because I've gone back and forth from the farm so many times. Granted, you know, it's probably only 3 miles there and back every time, but I've done that a lot and driven to town too a few times and stuff. But I've checked the oil every time before I ran the truck, and it hasn't gone down since I've done the oil change. So obviously the oil leak that it has is a very slight leak, and I also haven't seen any under the truck either. So it's only leaks when it's driving too, and it must just be a very minimal amount, because I haven't had any spots where I park or anything. I've been checking the oil, and it's been good. So obviously that was a lie, which I didn't know at the time, but obviously that was a lie, because yeah, he said he's checked it every day, but obviously he didn't, because it was nothing. The dipstick was dry. And he was freaking out like, oh yeah, that's weird, I check it every day and it was fine yesterday, and that's so weird. And then I kind of was like, okay, it's got this huge oil leak on the bottom, which it seemed like, and then no oil in the dipstick. And I was like, okay, well, do you have any oil? Can we put, like, I came all the way here, you know, which already is frustrating. It's like, why didn't you check this shit before someone's driving 12 hours to look at your truck, right? So I was like, do you have any oil? And he's like, yeah, I guess I can look and see if I have any in the shed or whatever. And he went in the shed and he found like a half a quart of 5W30. We put that in there. I checked it. I'm like, no oil. And then he found like another half a quart of oil or 3/4 quart full in his shed, put that in there. Still no oil. And then at that time, the dad rolled out. Now, I'm not gonna mention any names in here because I don't want to get a lawsuit, but the dad rolled out around that time. And basically, he seemed like a really nice guy. We kind of started chit-chatting. He asked me what I do for a living, and I told him the Sherp stuff and how I have a YouTube channel where I build trucks, and this is kind of like my thing, you know, and do off-roading and stuff. And me and the dad seemed like we kind of hit it off. And he said he has a son that has this like dealership that sells like side-by-sides and all this stuff, and he'd be interested in talking about us with Sherp and stuff. And I even gave him my business card, and he was asking like, oh, well, what's the problem here, you know? And I told him like there's no oil in the truck. And he's like, oh, well, I guess I think that one front seal has a leak, a bit of a leak. I think I noticed that when we got it or whatever. So I'm like, okay. And then his son couldn't find any more oil, and the dad was like, oh, there's some back here or whatever. They got more oil, and finally after like 2 whole quarts of oil, they had it back up, which again, he must not have been checking the oil for ever, because I haven't gone down, you know, 1/4 of a quart of oil since I did an oil change and drove it 200 miles, you know. So that was a little weird, but obviously I didn't know that at the time. So we got it full oil, basically ended up taking it for a test drive, which, sorry, this is kind of a lot of talking, and like I just want to give you guys the whole backstory to lead up to what's happening. But then we end up taking it for a test drive, and the truck literally, it took us, they like went in the house while me and Murray were gonna drive it. The frick? Anyway, it took us literally like 5 minutes to get the truck started. Come to find out, the carb wasn't adjusted right at all, but it took us like 5 minutes to get the thing going. Like we had to sit there, pump the throttle, fire it up, and we had to sit there and feather the throttle. If you let off the throttle, it would die. So like you had to keep gas on it. So you had to like throttle it up, put it in gear to then even be able to get it to move. And it died like 3 times cause I'd drive it a little bit and let off the throttle and it would die. And it took us, probably a solid 5 to 10 minutes to even get it to the end of their driveway. And then like we drove it down the end of the driveway, let off the throttle, hit the brakes a little bit because it's like a 70-mile-an-hour zone there, and dies. So that was frustrating. And again, my grandpa and I ended up adjusting the carb, and it runs fine now. We fixed that problem. But again, his claim that he daily drove this truck, and it would have made the drive back to where I live just fine, 12 hours, and that he drove it all the time. That's obviously a lie for so many reasons, because of the oil, and then the fact that the truck won't run on its own. That thing would have died at every stoplight the way that thing was running. He would not have been able to drive that thing through town safely or anything, because that thing would have been stalling unless he's sitting there with one, driving with 2 feet, one on the brake the whole time and one on the throttle revving all the time. So it was just, even at that time, it was a little bit like, that's when I started thinking like, okay, this is a little weird, But we ended up driving the truck because we came all the way there, and it drove pretty straight. The steering was a little weird. And then the windows wouldn't roll down. We couldn't figure out how to get the windows down. I figured out how to get the one down, but now it's stuck down. And then the passenger one I still can't get down, which again, it's really daily driving that truck. If you couldn't even roll the freaking windows down, there's no AC and it's 100 degrees out in the summer there. No, he was not. But we drove the truck, and the brakes worked good. It would go 70 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour down the road. It went straight, whatever. It drove actually really good for a truck of that year. But it just kind of had all those problems that was a little concerning to me. Things just didn't add up. So we got the truck back, and I'm not going to say prices on this truck because, well, to be honest with you, I might, sell this truck eventually. This isn't like the fun ones that I'm going to keep forever. This truck, I might not hold on to this truck forever, and I don't want people to be like, oh, well, you bought it for this much and you this. It's like, yeah, okay, but the market goes up. I'm in a whole different area where these are worth more. I've looked for over a year for the perfect deal. I'm not going to say the prices, but let's say, just say for example, they wanted this amount of money for it, which was a higher amount of money, and I wasn't really willing to pay that much. I was really only willing to pay probably like this much. Now, I was willing to pay their high price if the truck was everything they said it was going to be. You know, if it didn't have an oil leak, if it drove good down the road, if it was obvious that it was sound, if it actually had absolutely zero rust, like they said it had, you know, I was ready. I brought the amount of cash, the full payment amount to buy that truck for their full asking price. But I got the truck back, and after what looked like to me was a major oil leak, the kid not knowing about the truck and making false claims about it, and just everything added together, the rust, everything, I was just like, you know what? And then the heat, that was a big thing. It was like 100 degrees out our whole trip. It was like a huge heat wave our whole trip. And the fact that we couldn't figure out how to get the windows down and it had no AC, I was like, you know what? There's no way I am driving this thing 12 hours home, because that was the original plan. I'm like, there's no way I'm driving this thing 12 hours home. I just don't want to do it. I really don't want to do it. If it was the perfect truck, yes, I would do it. But just for what it was, I didn't want to drive that thing 12, well, whatever would have ended up being with that truck, probably 15, 16 hours home, because I didn't want to go 85 miles an hour, but it would have been, yeah, I basically decided for that price, I was going to tell him no. I really didn't want to tell him no because I was really excited and I went a long ways there, but I was going to tell him no. And I basically did. I was like, so you're not really willing to come down on the price at all? I asked him, because he wanted this high price, and he was like, no. He's like, this is the kid I was speaking to. He's like, I got this guy in Iowa that said, he said he'll come and buy the truck for full price, and he'll come next week, which I believe it. I'm sure he would have said that, but also that guy in Iowa didn't come there and then see what the truck, you know, see the lies and the weird stuff, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's easy to say this guy across the country was going to pay full price for it, because, I mean, I basically said the same thing too until I got there. So I basically told him, I was like, well, you know what, dude, if you change your mind, because we were going to be in Oregon for like a week, so I figured that guy's going to come there and probably say no. I was like, you know, if you change your mind and you decide you want to go down on price, I didn't even give him an offer. I was just like, because we were so far off from each other. I was like, if you decide you want to come down on price, just let me know. Maybe I'll swing back by here on my way back, because I still really like the truck. I was really interested, but just for that price and him being firm on it, I couldn't justify spending that kind of money. It was probably still worth that amount, but just for me, for having to get it back and everything else, and not really having the money to pay a tow service to bring it back or anything, I didn't want to do it. So I turned around and started walking to my car. Basically, he's like, okay, sounds good. You know, he was kind of disappointed. Ray and I started walking back to the car, and the dad kind of came out of the shadows. He must have been standing over, and he's like, well, what do you think it's worth? Like, you know these trucks and stuff. What do you think it's worth? And I kind of stopped, and I was like, I didn't really want to give the price that I thought it was worth, because I thought it would be kind of offending, but I was like, they wanted like this much. I was like, you know, it's probably worth like this, you know. I was like, I'd say like that, you know, because I kind of played up the problems that it had, you know, bargaining. I was like, you know, it's got this rust in the spot, these couple little spots. I saw this little Bondo spot, you know, it looks like it's got a pretty major oil leak. It was this low on oil, you know, the windows don't roll down, like, and I kind of talked the truck down a bit as much as I could. So I was like, I don't know, I'd say it's, you know, maybe worth this much. And then the guy was like, well, how about, he's like, how about, so this is the lot amount. This is my offer. He's like, how about this much, and we'll get it shipped back to your house for about, let's say, $250. So I was like, okay. Because he went down $3-4 grand of the asking price, which was a huge difference on the price of this truck. So I was like, yes. And the reason I said yes was because of the shipping. He said, how about you do this much and we'll get it to your house for $250, because he said, I have guys, he's like, oh yeah, I have guys that run cattle and then he named my town. They run cattle back and forth there all the time. I always got trucks running there. You know, it wouldn't be a problem for them to throw it on the back of a truck and I can get it to you for $250. And I was like, $250? He's like, yep, $250 we can get there. And I was like, okay, sold. Like, yeah, let's do it. Gave them the cash. We went to Oregon. Like, because for that amount of money that I was able to get that truck for, I knew, like, it was a steal. It was still a steal for this truck. So I was like, you know what? Even if this truck doesn't end up being what I want it to be, it's still a solid truck, and I could flip this in Minnesota, you know, in the Rust Belt. I could flip this truck and at least make some money on it to fund other projects, or I could have some fun with it for a while and then sell it, you know, like no matter what, it's a good investment at the price I was able to get it to for it, especially for the free shipping. Because if you're gonna pay a shipping company to ship that truck that distance, you're gonna be spending $1,500 to $2,500 to get a truck like that shipped. So I mean, that was kind of the huge thing for me too. So I thought of the price he said, and then I kind of subtracted how much it would have cost to ship, and like it was a very, very good deal. Again, a little pause. Apologize for how long this video is. I just want to give you guys all the information because I want to be 100% transparent when I'm making claims about people and calling people out on things. I want to just give the whole story and the whole truth. And a lot of you guys said you wanted to see this video, so I'm not really making this video to go viral or anything like that and try to be I'm making this video because I got a bunch of comments from you guys on the Denside video that they got a bunch of likes, all of them did, saying that they want to hear, you guys want to hear the drama, you guys want to hear the bull crap I had to deal with this buying this truck. So that's why I'm going so lengthy into details, and this video is kind of longer, but I just want to give you guys everything. So let's get back into it. Also, make sure you like the video because it's 9 o'clock. I worked all day, and the first thing I did when I got home is I ate dinner, and I came out here and started filming a video. So I mean, I am right now trying to pump out these 2 to 4 videos, Murray and I, a week, and we're working our butt off doing it. I'm working and then working when I'm getting home because we're trying to make content for you guys and really make this YouTube thing happen. So just please just give this video a thumbs up. It's just one little click and it helps us tremendously. Anyway, yeah, we ended up leaving because there was a steal of a deal, $250 to get the truck shipped back 12 to 15 hours back to my house. Awesome. Couldn't beat it, right? And he made it, this is another point. He made it sound like they have trucks going there all the time, so like you'd be able to get it shipped there soon, okay? So we get our hotel in Oregon, you know, a few days go by, and I ask him like, hey, is the truck shipped out yet? No, it hasn't shipped out yet. We're gonna ship it out tomorrow. You know, no, it hasn't shipped out yet. We're gonna ship it out the next day. So like, okay, whatever. But my thought was, we're gonna be in Oregon. We're still gonna be gone for another week and a half. So my thoughts were like, okay, this truck's gonna be back. I just gave them the farm address so they could unload it at the farm. My dad could unload it, or one of our mechanics could. So like, I'm gonna have this truck back. So like when we get back from Oregon, I'm gonna be able to just pound content, right? Like it's gonna be here when I get back, and I was really excited about it. I was kind of excited to get back from the trip, even just because of the truck. Like I was really, really excited about it. You could ask Murray, obviously. But we kind of went back and forth. Also, I was really stupid. I made a dumb move because in the moment I wasn't thinking, and I will admit this, and you guys can drag me for this because I was dumb, and I know I was dumb, and I know I was dumb, and I was dumb. But it was like 7 o'clock when I looked at this truck, and I didn't know in the state of Montana to sign a title over, it has to be endorsed? Not endorsed. What is it called? Anyway, like an official person had to sign it as well. Like we couldn't just both sign it. Like that's how it works in Minnesota. Like I have to sign it, the owner has to sign it, and then like it needs to get endorsed by like another person, like at like the bank or at it didn't have a loan on it, but like or at like the DMV or like whatever. Like kind of like marriage certificates. Like when you get married, it has to be, I can't remember the name. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I didn't know that. And also with the bill of sale, it has to be endorsed, whatever, too. So obviously it was 7 o'clock, and like I wasn't able to get in. We weren't able to get it endorsed, and we weren't able to do a bill of sale because I wasn't able to get endorsed either. And like I didn't want to stay the night there because I think we drove till 1 or 2 a.m. that night. So it's like we still had another, 6 to 8 hours of driving to get done that day, and we didn't want to, stay there and then have to stay late in the morning to try to get all that done because we kind of had a plan and a schedule for our trip. So I didn't even know that was a thing, honestly, because in North Dakota and Wisconsin or the other states I've bought vehicles from, and they don't have that either. So I honestly just didn't even know that was a thing. But they seemed like really, really nice people. They said they were like, he was going to a Christian school. They were like really faith-based people, and like they just seemed like genuine, nice people. So like I trusted them. I was like, okay, I'll just, when our way back, I'll swing back and get the title, or just sign the title and just put the title in the glove box and just ship the truck with the title. Was kind of my thought. Either way, I'll get the title. Like I really wasn't worried about it because they seemed like good people. So we're in Oregon. We ended up coming back after a week. The truck still wasn't shipped out. Was still getting, hey, our cattle guy, hasn't shipped it out yet. And I could tell talking to this kid, he was having to talk to his dad. Like, I don't really want to drag this kid too bad because his dad is the guy that was kind of behind all of the bull crap. He's the one who made the deal and everything with me in the first place about shipping, and the kid kept talking to the dad because then the dad is the one that knew the guy that would bring it here. So it was kind of like when I was talking to him, he was trying to talk to like 2 other people. So I really don't want to give that kid too much crap because it was really the dad that was doing a lot of the bullshitting. But anyway, holy, these mosquitoes. Basically, long story short, on our way back, we swing by their house. The kid wasn't there, and actually the truck wasn't there either, which was kind of weird. But they said they had another ranch next door, and that's where like, oh yeah, that was the other part of the deal. They were gonna give me a set of 4 studded tires with wheels for this because in Montana you can run studded tires. So that was actually kind of cool. I was kind of excited about that. You can't run them legally here, but like in trails and stuff in the winter, I thought that'd be cool. Just cool to have a set of studded tires. So I was kind of cool. You know, that's probably worth, you know, almost $1,000 if it's a decent set of tires with studs. And then they said they had a bunch of trim pieces and extra body parts and like all this extra, like a whole truck bed full of extra parts for it over at the other ranch that they were going to load up into it when they shipped it. So I just figured when I went to get the title, the truck was probably over there. But honestly, if this was this kid's daily driver, I wouldn't doubt if maybe they were even driving it when I wasn't there. But we got the title from the mom that was signed and everything and good, and got a bill of sale. So we're good. That stress was kind of lifted off my shoulders. I wasn't worried about that. And then we get back home. Truck wasn't here. It still hadn't got shipped out yet. I was getting excuses. All right, I just want to bring up the text messages here so I can be 100% transparent with everything. So I texted him June 22nd, 3:08 p.m. We're 3.5 hours out. Should be there around 5:36. And we were there for probably an hour or two once we got there. He said, okay, great. So that was the day that we bought the truck, was June 22nd. I bought it the day we saw it. Then that same day at 8:22, it must have been a little bit after we left, I texted him the pin to the farm, the location of the farm. Said, here's the pin to the Shirt farm with the loading dock, because he made it sound like it was big trucks that ran. So it's like, hey, we got a loading dock there too, make it easier to unload it. Also, then I talked to him about the bill of sale and everything like that. And then I said, let me know when you guys get the shipping figured out, and I can send you the money if you have Venmo or PayPal. I can send them the extra $250 once they get it shipped out. And he said, okay, I'll get all that to you. Then June 24th, so 2 days later, said, any update on getting shipping figured out yet? We were in Oregon at that point. He said, my dad said Mark's working on it. Mark is the name of the guy that was shipping it apparently. And he'll let us know. When will you be back from vacation so that we have some idea? Which that was already, I was kind of like, well, I'd rather get the truck before I'm home from vacation, because I told him the farm there, like anyone can unload it. And I said, sounds good. And I said, we'll be back sometime next week, but my dad will be at the location I sent you to unload the truck if you guys ship it before I'm back. And then he said, okay, sounds good. So that he basically confirmed, like, okay, so if we ship it earlier, my dad will be at the farm to unload the truck when I get back. So he's like, okay, that sounds good. He didn't say, oh, well, actually, we're shipping it 5 hours from where you are going to be and blah, 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 so that's not going to work. No, he said, okay, sounds good. Okay. Then June 28th, so 4 days after that, a week after I bought the truck. Hey, man, has the truck shipped yet, question mark? If not, I'm going to be in your area tomorrow afternoon/evening and could swing by and get that title signed if you got it notarized. That's the word, notarized. He said, that works. I did get it notarized. It hasn't shipped out yet. Mark said he's coming out next week with a flatbed. Next week with a flatbed. So that's already putting us 2 weeks ahead. I said, sounds good. I'll let you know when I'm close to your area. Then June 29th said, looks like we'll be in your area around 4. If that works for us to swing by, that works. Pulling in. I'm just headed home, but my mom and brother should be there. So that was kind of weird. He said he was just heading home and the truck wasn't there. That's what made me kind of feel like, yeah, is he driving my truck? So that was already kind of rubbed me a little bit weird. Said, okay, I got the title from your mom. Thanks. Yes, sir. He said, we'll let you know when it's loaded. Mark said it'll probably be loaded either Tuesday or Wednesday. So I was like, okay, great. Tuesday or Wednesday. And this was Tuesday that we're talking, so I'm assuming he was talking about the next week. And I said, perfect, thanks again. Now, a week later, I texted him June 6th on the Tuesday. He said he was getting loaded Tuesday or Wednesday. I texted him June 6th, or July 6th, sorry. 2 days after 4th of July, July 6th. This is when it was supposed to be getting loaded and shipped out. Hey man, hope you had a good 4th. Is the truck still getting shipped out today or tomorrow? Thank you. Hope you guys did too. My dad said Mark is coming out Thursday. And if he doesn't, then I think I'll just deliver it. So it got pushed back another 2 days, which was frustrating. But he said if he doesn't come Thursday, he'll bring it. So I'm like, you know what? Okay. Said, thanks. Just keep me updated. He said, my dad just talked to Mark. He should have he said, wait. He said backhaul should happen tomorrow, no later than Saturday. And that was on Thursday. That was Thursday that I said, thanks, just keep me updated. And he said, the Mark guy said it should happen on Friday or Saturday. So that's like, you know, another 6 days pushed back from the original because it was Tuesday. And this kid told me, he said, if he doesn't pick it up and bring it out by Thursday, he's going to bring it. But no, now it's pushed back to Friday or Saturday. And I was like, okay, you know. And then he told me I asked for the name of the shipping guy, and he told me, just so I knew. Now Sunday, July 11th, it was supposed to get shipped out Friday or Saturday. Sunday, originally Tuesday. So we are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're 6 days after it was supposed to get shipped out, and now 1 to 2 days after the second date it was supposed to get shipped out. Well, actually the second date was Thursday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days, and then 2 days after. So KSC keeps getting pushed back. And then I said, hey man, I don't mean to keep bugging you, but did the truck get picked up yet? I just need to know when it'll be delivered so I can make sure I'm at the farm when it gets there. There is all. Thanks. So again, I mentioned when it gets there, I want to be able to unload it when it gets to my farm. And he said, no, hasn't come yet. If he doesn't come out tomorrow, then my dad and I are just going to take it. Sorry about that, haha. Okay. Said, okay, all good. Nothing you can do about that. So I'm just trying to be nice. If you guys end up bringing it, I'd love to give you guys a Sherp ride and let you check them out. I know your dad was pretty intrigued by them. So I just wanted to be nice, you know? He said, that'd be great. Thanks. And then now Tuesday, July 13th. I waited till Tuesday. Did he come? And then he didn't even reply Tuesday. He replied on Wednesday, July 14th. No, he didn't. Me and my dad are planning on delivering it. So he's been telling me they're planning on delivering it themselves now for over a week if this guy doesn't come. And then this is when I got a little frustrated. I said, okay, when? It's been 22 days since I've bought the truck, and shipping has been a big part of the deal. I've really been trying to be understanding about this situation, but I can't help but feel like you guys just keep giving me the runaround. This has been costing me money. I bought the truck for content for my business and daily to work in town. My wife and I have been sharing the same car for the last few weeks, which is true. The truck was originally supposed to be shipped on the 6th, and it is now the 14th. And if the guy no-showed, you were going to deliver it. I really need the truck by Friday/Saturday morning this week. I've had plans for it this weekend that I can't miss. And then he responded to me and said it will be shipped out today. I don't blame you guys. I've been hounding my dad about it when it'll go out, and he keeps saying he's talking to Mark because he's kind of the one who set up the shipping deal, which was true. His dad did. But also, I bought this truck from this kid, not from his dad. I was just going to go to deliver it, and finally he called Mark, and I guess Mark is going to pick the truck up in Billings to take over there. Sorry that you guys, sorry about that. I'm taking over to the Mark guy to meet him in Billings to put it on his truck to bring it out. I said, okay, I appreciate it. He said it'll ship, then yeah, that's the same thing. Then he sent me the contact info of the guy and sent me a picture of the truck loaded up behind his like 3/4 ton pickup with only the truck behind it. So it was not a backhaul. It was not, well, maybe it was a backhaul, but it wasn't like a big shipping truck or anything like that. He said, got her loaded and ready to go. I sent you Mark's contact info as well. I said, awesome, thanks for getting things straightened out. I'll give him a call in a few. Now, this is when things get juicy. The verbal deal was shipped. He has guys that run to my town all the time, and it will get shipped to my place for $250. Because I also went up $1,000 from my offer I gave him because of that shipping deal. And he made it clear, well, how about we do this much and I'll ship it for only $250? Okay, that's a big part of the deal because I did not want to drive that truck back, and I couldn't afford, or want to spend $1,000 to $2,000 on top of my price to pay someone to ship it back. Now, I tried calling that guy, that trucker guy, and then he tells me just to text him. So I texted him my address, and then he responded with his address, which is it's like 3 or 4 hours away from my house, which was kind of weird. And he said, Corey said you were paying me to bring it to my place, ? I guess you can get the first name. That's the name of the dad, is Corey. Corey said you are paying me to bring it to my place. I just read you every single text message I ever had. I never texted the dad. We never even spoke about someone bringing it back to their place, not mine. This is the first I heard about this. So I was like, whoa. right? And like there's multiple times that kid basically confirmed it's getting brought to my farm. And then I said, I was told when I bought the truck they'd ship it to me for an additional $250. They told me they had a guy that came through all the time. Is that not the case? I'm just confused. And he said, I don't go through, that's a long ways from my house. And he said, you should talk to Corey, because I sure wanted $500 at least to bring it to my house. So he told this Corey guy, the dad, he wants at least $500 to bring it 5 hours from my house. That was not part of the freaking deal at all. At all. And on top of this night I was texting him, I ended up having a 104-degree fever and I got horribly sick. And then I was supposed to go there in a few days to pick up this truck. I was not even capable of it. And I got sick and I wasn't really, it wouldn't have been a worry because it was getting shipped here. That was the plan. But now I have to try to figure out how to go 5 hours while I'm, borderline going into the emergency room because I am the sickest I have been in like 4 years. I was so frustrated because I had that going on at the same time, which was just, So then I said, wow, I was fed some bullcrap then, I'll talk to him. And then around that time, I texted the kid. I texted the kid a screenshot of that text. I texted him a screenshot of that text and then sent him a not so nice message. But I was still respectful. I just said, what happened to $250 and shipped to me in Bemidji? Now it's $500 and a 6-hour round trip from my house. I'm just confused, man. This wasn't not what we had agreed upon. And he never responded. That's actually the last text I ever sent to him. It's the last time I've ever talked to the kid. But after that, the dad called me. He must have showed the dad that screenshot and stuff, and he was pissed. That dad called me, and he was pissed. I wish I would have been thinking, but I was like in bed, like half delusional, feverish when he called me, not expecting a call from him. But I was not feeling good. I should have recorded the conversation. I really should have. But he was basically, what's the problem here? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I never told you. He kind of has this high-pitched, whiny voice. I never told you that we drive trucks to. He's like, I said we could get it to Minnesota for you. I said I could get it to Minnesota. And I said I could get it shipped for maybe $250. I said maybe $250. I could get it shipped to Minnesota. Now, Murray and I both, I can't, this is one thing I can't prove, but swear to God, I'm an honest person. I guarantee you they said he could get it shipped to me. Now, Minnesota is a big state. Minnesota isn't me. My house is me. And I told him about our farm and everything, and he said he specifically name-dropped my town and that he could get it. He has trucks that come through my town all the time, and he could get it to me. And for $250, on top of the extra $1,000 that I went up, solely for the reason that he, offered that shipping. That's the other thing. So it's like, basically in my mind, I was still spending $1,250 for shipping because I went up $1,000 for my offer because of the shipping. It's like, how about I ship it for you for $250 and you could do this, $1,000 more. Okay. So he, in the grand scheme of things, $250 isn't that much, but the $250 plus now having to make a 6-hour round trip and the fact that I had to wait basically a month to get this truck, and it was pushed off and let on for literally a month to get this freaking truck. That's what just everything compiled is what pissed me off so much. And on the phone, he just lied and lied. He denied everything. I was like, okay. He was like, no, I was like, I was just fed up. I was like, I wasn't rude to him or anything, but I was just like, no, you said it would be shipped to me for $250. No, I did not. I did not say that. Basically just saying I'm a liar about everything. I did not say that, blah, 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 blah. And then he was like, and I blah, blah, blah. And I said I could have a guy bring it to Minnesota. And then I also brought up the fact, I was like, okay, and also you got to look at it my perspective. I spent a lot of money on this truck, and it's been over a month since I've gotten this truck. He's like, well, we didn't say it was supposed to get shipped out 3 days ago on Monday. And I was like, no, it was supposed to get shipped out on the 6th. It was not supposed to get shipped out on the 6th, blah, 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 2-3 weeks prior. I pulled out, I was like, I will show you the texts with your son. Like, I'll show you the text. And then okay, maybe it was the 6th. Maybe it was the 6th it was supposed to get shipped out. So it's shipped out maximum a few days after when it was supposed to get shipped. Not 30 days, whatever. He's making it like it was just a few days late, and I was just making all of this shit up. Like I am just some horrible liar after he was wanting to make business even with us with the shirt business, everything. And I was just really pissed. And I was like, I'm not paying that $500. He's like, well, tell you what, oh, how about, he's like, I'll cover the other $250 with Corey, but I'm not getting it shipped to your house. That's a lot of money, and I didn't want to drive all the way out. That's a long ways, and blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, it is a long ways. That's why I took the freaking deal, because I didn't want to do it. Like, seriously, he just went back on everything, and it pissed me off so much. He went back on everything, and basically what happened is my dad ended up having to go down and get the truck because I was so sick, which huge thanks to my dad. He's probably watching this video. Thank you so much for doing that. You're a lifesaver. He ended up going down, getting the truck. He brought it back, and he had a long conversation with that trucker guy, which that when we went down there, that trucker guy, he's like, yeah, Corey never called me and said he'd never told me he'd pay the other $250. That wasn't, he never said that. He's like, but I got his trailer, so I'll get that $250 from him one way or another. So we did accept $250, which was nice. But also what that trucker said, he's like, yeah, that Corey guy, he's like, you can't trust a single word that comes out of his mouth. He said he is known in that town for being an absolute blatant liar. And like, you can't trust, everyone he knows, you can't trust anything that Corey says. So that kind of just like reiterated the fact that like, I know this guy was lying to me. And he also told me that he's like, yeah, I never ran and he said, I don't run cattle for him either. He's like, he has, I don't know, he lives in Minnesota. He's like, he just knows them because he has property in the area or something, but that he's like, I don't run cattle for him or do anything like that for him. Like I hardly ever make trips back and forth or anything like that. So it was just all total lies that he was building me up on to try to get me to buy that truck because he didn't want me to leave without buying that truck. So I'm guessing daddy maybe probably owned that truck or owned a portion of that truck, not the kid, and that's why he wanted to sell it so bad. I don't know, but it was just an absolute ordeal that just made my blood boil. It was just frustrating, you know, just all the little things adding up. Oh, and the other thing that really frustrated me, I had some comment that said, oh, it's just a truck, you shouldn't complain about it being dirty. When I got this truck, after that whole ordeal and spending a large amount of money on this truck, there was like literally piles of cow crap in the bed with hair out of it and this deep of wood chips and like mixed with cow poop all over in the bed. Inside, I haven't even cleaned out the interior yet, but there's like cow hair all over, and there's like literally like a half an inch of dirt on the floor. Like, it is just disgusting inside the cab and inside the bed. It's like, you spend that kind of money on a truck, you could at least freaking wipe it out. That's also what frustrated me when I looked at the truck is like, I don't know, when I sell things, I make sure they look good before someone comes to buy them. You know, it's one thing if you post it and it's like you haven't cleaned out the interior yet, but it's like when someone's actually coming to look, especially from 12 hours away to buy a truck, or they do buy the truck, you could spend 10 minutes with a vacuum cleaner and a couple wet wipes and clean out the interior, you know, and spend 5 minutes with a broom and brush the shit out of the bed. I also didn't get the studded tires or wheels. They didn't come in the box. They were not there. And I got like one little trim piece and the fuel tank for behind the cab. I didn't get the studded wheels and tires that I was promised in the verbal deal, but I didn't even bother fighting that because this guy was a blatant liar. And he already went back on his word about so many other things he promised me in the deal. So I knew if I tried mentioning the studded tires, he'd be like, I did not say you could have the studded tires. You know what I mean? He would just make up some lie about it. So there's no use. I'm never going to see them. So I just dropped it. But it just sucks. It just kind of shows when you're making deals with people, make sure everything is on paper. That's the big thing I learned, like with this shipping deal. Honestly, I should have paid them half and told them I'd pay the other half when it gets here. We should have made an agreement on paper, should have set a date that it has to be here by, and I should have gotten everything in text and paper. I shouldn't, like when he called me, I should have either recorded that phone call or I should have told him, you know what, text me so I can have all this on record, because you know what I mean? I should have hung up with him and texted him. That's why this trucker said he just uses text for everything, especially with Corey, because then he can't, you know, go back on himself like he did when I talked to him. So I guess kind of moral story, when you're buying vehicles, get everything in text, get everything on paper. If you make a deal that includes shipping or extra accessories or anything like that, make sure you get it all on paper. But yeah, this video is probably going to be way too freaking long. I don't know, Murray's going to have fun editing this and cutting this all up. I'm sorry, I just wanted to give you guys the full story. And I feel like I probably still missed things, but my throat's starting to hurt because we have so much smoke from Canada, the Canadian wildfires. I'm sitting here breathing it in all day while I work. And outside making this video, and it's just, it kind of really bothers me a lot. Like I deal with allergies, so. But yeah, all in all, I'm happy with the truck. It was just, I wanted it a month sooner. I'm not trying to like, I'm not bragging or trying to like talk myself up or anything like that. Don't take this the wrong way. But like ever since I was little, one of my favorite traits, I guess, about myself that I was proud of is that I was truthful. I've always been like a very honest person. Like I can't lie. It just, the guilt eats me up and I can't do it. So like, when I was little, it's like my parents knew, like, they could ask me anything and I would tell them the truth, like, you know, and I would just always tell the truth. I'd rather tell the truth and get the consequences from being truthful than burying yourselves in lies and being known as a liar and not being able to be trusted. So that's one thing that I've always kind of been is a huge for me is honesty. Honesty has always been just super huge for me. And I think since I'm that way, I expect that everybody else is that way. And sadly they're not. There's a lot of people that are, a lot of people, even in school. I couldn't stand so many kids. I remember when I was a kid in school, because mom, dad, they just lie all the time. They make up this stuff and I just can't believe them. And it's crazy how many people have a trouble with lying. And I feel like it's not even talked about that much in society anymore. You know, it's talked about when you're a kid that lying's bad, but it's like, it's a bad habit that people get into and it turns into like almost an addiction. I know some people that are like, there's a name for it, but like they lie so much that they almost believe their own lies and they just, it's insane. And there's just so many people out there that are that way. And I can't stand them. I can't stand it. I literally can't. So it's like when stuff happens like this, it really rubs me the wrong way because like, it goes against everything that I kind of believe in, you know? So it's just really frustrates me. Yeah. Tell the truth out there, guys. You know, like getting the consequences from telling the truth is always better than the consequences of burying yourself in lies and then getting caught on them later, you know? It's always better to be honesty. Honesty is the best policy. Unless like your wife or something asks you, like if she looks fat in a certain pair of pants or something like that, you gotta lie. You gotta lie about that. Unless your wife like asks if like, you know, her hair looks good or you know, anything about like you with your wife, like, you know, like looks, you know, or like, oh, does this shirt look good on me or does this look too big on me? Does this make me look, you always lie about that. I hate lying, but when it comes to like women, I always lie about that, always. Anyway, I'm gonna tell Marie to probably cut this video up a bunch because I talked for too long, so all of the details probably are on this, but I'm gonna have her try to keep most of it because just you guys wanted this. But I'm gonna do this oil change now. I did the fun part of draining it. I'm just gonna put the oil plug back in and fill it up with oil so I can drive it in the morning, and I'm gonna get it hot tomorrow, and then hopefully it'll fix my oil pressure problem. I'll let you guys know in the next video. I'll verbally let you know if it's fixed or not. We'll probably go off-roading with this actually, maybe. Jesus loves you guys so much.